from Management Learning and Coaching, and welcome to one of our series of top tips. This particular tip is on how to manage interruptions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the effect of not managing interruptions may have on you and the work that you have to do. Also how you get to manage the interruption, how you get interrupted, and some of the skills and things that you might want to use in managing the interruption, and therefore, and then finally the outcome of managing the interruption well. So let's start with the effect of not managing the interruption well. As you'll see just behind me, here is a chart which shows some research that was done on the effect of interruptions. And you'll see a timeline here that goes from 0 minutes to 6 minutes. So at 0 minutes you get the interruption, and at 6 minutes is when you finally get back into working on the problem that you were working on before. Typically, it's not that we're not working, but what happens during the working day is our efficiency drops because of these interruptions. We're having to take our head out of a particular problem that we're working on and drop that particular topic or subject and move into the thing that we've been interrupted on. Deal with that interruption and then go back to the problem. In other words, our efficiency drops. Proof of the pudding? Go work from home. Oh yes, okay, sometimes we get interrupted at home too, and there are lots of distractions at home, but how much work do we get done when we go and work in a private space where nobody does interrupt us? Okay, so there's the proof why you should do something about this. Research also shows that we get interrupted typically every 3 minutes. So if you're a manager and you've got staff and people who keep coming to you, if you don't deal with them effectively, your output and your work drops and diminishes because. So how do we get interrupted? Well, the telephone goes. Well, typically people come and talk to us. Also, we get emails. And of course, sometimes, or some of us work in open plan, where there's just distractions around us all over the place. And of course, managing that is really the key issue. But let's just take the interruptions where we're one-on-one with somebody through different media. So let's take it the telephone or working face-to-face. We have to gauge and deal with and decide what is it that this interruption is all about, and therefore what do we do with it. So we need a strategy to handle the interruption. So in the first place, what we need to do is listen to what the person is saying. I need help on this with this and this. You then have to make a judgment, and you'll see on the graphic behind me, here's a chart that shows you the different things that you should consider. How urgent is this interruption? More importantly, how important is this interruption to you? And I gauge this, or when I ask my delegates, so how do you gauge what's important to you or not? We often come up with the idea that actually it's what's in your job description. In other words, why does this organisation pay you? That's what's normally in your job description. That's what's important. If it's not important, it should then fall outside of the strategy you might then adopt. So you can see on the graphic behind me here what we should do. So if it's highly urgent and highly important, of course we should drop everything and deal with it. That's why we're paid, of course. If it's not highly urgent, but it's also hugely important to us, we should plan for it. In other words, delegate it. I'll share with you some skills on how to put this stuff off just now. Here's the most difficult one. It's highly urgent, but it's not important to us. It might be important to the person who's asking, but this is the place where we need to say no, and say no nicely. And I'm going to share with you how you do that just now. And then lastly, of course, it's not urgent and it's not important. Frankly, we shouldn't be taking this stuff on. But of course, there's always a political reason why we might undertake some of this work, but we might pass this off at some time or other. So here's the skill on how to deal with this. The first thing that you need to do is listen hard when the interruption comes. You've probably got around about 30 seconds before your brain starts to come out of what you're doing and really get into the problem that's put in front of you. In other words, your efficiency is dropping. 30 seconds is ample. I typically work about 10 seconds. I know what's coming, and then I deal with it. And then here's how I then decide what I'm going to do. If it's urgent and important, I've got to drop everything and deal with it. If it's not urgent or important, or sits outside of those two things, or the urgency and important box, then what I want to do is put it off. And here's how I'm going to do it. When somebody starts talking, I need you to help about this, and this, Tim, I'll go, I'm really sorry, I can't help you right now because I'm doing something that's highly important to me and also has got a deadline that I'm trying to meet within a couple of hours or whatever it might be that I've set myself to achieve these things. Now, this might be something I've set myself where I've got to get my head into a particular problem and I don't want to come out of that problem until I'm ready, because of course that makes me less efficient if I do that. So I use the two words, this is important and this is urgent, what I'm doing, and I'm sorry, I can't help you right now. I'll call you back in 2 hours when I've finished what I'm doing. That is normally enough to put people off. If they insist, and typically here's one of the skills that I use, especially if they come to me face to face, I will stand up and say, look, I'm up against the deadline and I've really got this important piece of work to finish and I'm sorry, I can't help you right now. I'll call you back in a couple of hours or whatever you decide to call them back. I'll then call them back. Guess what will have happened? Yes, of course. They probably will have found another solution or somebody else to solve the problem. I teach my team to actually do this with me because I don't know when I'm phoning them up if I'm interrupting them or not, and they put me off. Guess what happens? I find another solution. And guess what happens for them? They phone me back and say, it's okay, I've solved my problem. That has a double-edged sword for them. It has saved them the efficiency. It has also saved them actually doing the job in the first place. So a tick all round. So the outcome that you get from using this strategy is it saves you time. It also gives you the ability to focus on key performance indicators that you need to deliver for your organisation, and therefore keeping you right up there as one of the key people within the organisation. So I hope this works for you. If you need more help, more information, please connect with us through LinkedIn or through the social media links that you'll see us around here. We'll be more than happy to have a chat with you to discuss the issues that you might face with managing interruptions. My name's Tim Woodman and this is Management Learning and Coaching.